Good morning, everyone. Hope you all are doing fantastic. Happy Wednesday to you all. Let's take a look and see what's going on with Bitcoin. So, last night we had a pretty decent move up, including this morning. Not exactly what I wanted to see for FOMC, but, what I will say is that we have crossed above quite a few 200 MAs on smaller time frames that do suggest there could potentially be a follow through today. And there's a few things that make me want to say that we will get a follow through. First of all, starting with the daily, usually after you get like a tweezer bottom like this, your next candle will close green, or in my case, white. Um, we did get the follow through. Unfortunately, it wasn't around the time that I wanted it to happen, which does give me a little bit of pause. So that's the only thing. If there wasn't FOMC today, I would say, okay, this is going to be a continuation. It's going to keep going up. Like, this is looking good, right? The only thing that is bothering me for right now is because of the fact that we have FOMC. Okay, that's the only thing that is, bugging me for right now. Um, that being said, I'm going to drop into the lower time frames, and start telling you guys what I'm seeing and why I'm not really extremely bearish at this point. Let me go into the 12 hour. 12 hour, you got that tweezer bottom continuation upward. That's great. This next candle is going to be very interesting because, you know, it has 9 hours and 26 minutes left. So this will really basically tell us like where price is going to be going on the 12 hour, especially because it's post FOMC, right? That's going to close. 8 hours. So 8 hours looking extremely interesting to me, mainly because all of your moving averages are starting to get tight. Um, this doesn't happen often. So the last time that we had a golden cross where the moving averages were tight, was right around here in April. And we had that huge move up. You could say once we got the cross, even from, right around here, went from 72, the top of this thing, 72, 716, all the way up to, 80 to 810. So even if you bought the breakout right here where you just plowed up, I mean, you would have still caught like a $10,000 move up. So, and same with on the move down, right? If you would have caught this, basically bought at this candle right here, 74 270, you would caught the whole move down, you could have rode to about 59,000. So, we're talking about $10,000 expansion moves at least, right? When we cross over the 8 hours. So, when your moving averages get tight, it's not something to ignore on these bigger time frames. If we do get that cross above the 200 now on the 8 hour within the next upcoming days, even for the start of August, which I wouldn't want to see off the bat, but there's a potential that we start getting a massive expansive move up for the beginning week of August. I'm just going to throw that out there. Not that it's going to happen, but I'm just, saying that that's a possibility, right? So 6 hour, we got back above our 200. We never closed really below it, like what I wanted to see happen, right? So now it's the question is whether or not we're going to get the continuation. One of the other things that I was noting today or was seeing today is that we still haven't come back and tested weekly open or Monday midnight open. So if we would have done that last night, that would have made me also a little bit more bearish. We have not done that yet. We got the move up. It wasn't a huge move up, but we got about to 64 700-ish area. But we still, like I said, have not retested weekly open. Which, I guess you could say that we did it on Sunday, but, because this was actually Monday at 8 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. So early in the morning at 5 a.m., we did close this candle where we tested it, but we never kind of revisited it ever since then. Usually during the week, you'll revisit it at least once before you get the continuation down or you get the continuation up. Okay, usually the support. So that's another thing on my list that I'm like, okay, this possibly could be a continuation today. Um, we'll take a look at liquidity and see what that has to say. But for right now, like I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's trying to trick people to go short, right? You're getting this pump up. They're like, oh, it's pre FOMC, like price is probably going to dump because it's hawkish today, but it could do the opposite, right? So, um, yeah, I mean, I wanted to see more of a consolidation last night, more of a dump, not this, move up. But since we got it, we have to deal with it and see what happens. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, you didn't really come back for a retracement either, right? I mean, I was looking to see, if we were to kind of catch this 786 over here, never came back down to this. This would be around 63.3. So I would say that, FOMC meaning if we are going to be bullish, this is definitely in the cards where we could come back down, just make a real quick drop into this area and then just launch, right? Or we could even do it beforehand. But that's another thing. Like maybe we need to get a little bit of a discount, keep this low, make a little bit of a discount, and then come back up. Again, all speculation, but I'm just trying to plan out my own, trades and see kind of what I'm seeing in the market. With the 1 hour though, as long as you're not really, as far as a bullish scenario where we don't get a discount, as long as you're not losing that 21, I mean, that's considered bullish, right? 45 minute, yeah, you got rejected off the 200. That's fine. You're kind of consolidating moving averages still. 30 minute, you also got rejected. So be it. You got a golden cross on the 21 crossing over the 200. You don't have the official one yet with the 50. Um, but these smaller time frames aren't like they're completely irrelevant, but I don't give as much weight to them as I do like the 8 hour and the 4 hour and the 6 hour, right? Obviously on the 15, you're about to get the golden cross on the 100, so that's a decent sign. You kind of made a head and shoulders, which whatever, it's before FOMC. 4 hour, I do want to see, and look at we could easily come down, just tap this 4 hour and just launch, right? I mean, look at that. Look how perfect that setup would be. Coming down, tapping that 200 MA, and then just launching up, offering one more discount even for the 6 hour, so I could really like this is just beautiful to me if it wants to get that discount, just a little bit of a discount even, just to get people off guard and then just wham, just wreck the shorts. I would love that. Let's see. As far as the 5 minute, yeah, I'm not going to go into the smaller time frames because they can be very indecisive. But like, you're getting above the 200, you're bouncing off of it right now, to possibly lose it. But I'm gonna base mainly, guys, like look at your 8 hour, look at your 4 hour, look at your 6 hour. If you were gonna play a trade during FOMC, I am going to tell you that the safest thing that you can do is play the larger time frames with a deep stop loss. So what I mean by that is like if you were to go long here, like I would say probably doing it on the 4 hour, you'd want to have your protection below the 200, right? And then you'd be basically, going up to however far you think it's going to go. I would say target this double top, so you're only looking at about 2.2 to 4 or 2.4 to 1 risk reward ratio. Not the greatest. This is a potential, like, again, not financial advice, but like, you could take this trade and possibly like be okay because, again, you're protecting yourself below the 200 and you're protecting yourself below this, support line that I've had here for a long time. So, this is a possibility, and look at like you're getting a better entry. So, this is something that you could think about. Even ideally, you'd want to catch it more down here and protect it below this wick. But that's something that it obviously takes patience for and whatnot. But like I said, this could be a possible play if you do want to play FOMC. Not a great move, but again, it's a lot safer on the bigger time frames than getting wrecked on the small ones, right? That being said, guys, as far as levels go, really watching that 63,322. If we lose this, guys, there's a decent chance that we visit this order block, like I've been saying, right? This order block would be our last resort before getting into the 61K range, okay? So if we lose this green line, target this red line at the bottom of this order block, and then if not, then you're starting to get down into this order block and this line, okay? So those are some levels to the downside, like we've been targeting. To the upside, I would really be targeting, honestly, like if we were to get the strong move up, at least to Monday midnight open 65,252, weekly open 65,373. If we can get above this, then you can start talking 65,740, taking out this double top, and then finally taking out 66,482, which would be this double top up here. Okay. So these are some levels. All of these are relevant still to the upside. Okay. All right. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at liquidity, see where everything aligns. So taking a look at the 4 hour, I mean, look at this. We got this brand new little pool up here. That is amazing, right? So we have a bridge to the upside. That's very interesting. Yes, we have a ton of liquidity down below. I get it. We have, this green pool, this yellow pool. I would ideally like for this to get taken out in August to make our low for August. I don't want to see this taken out right now. Okay. For July, I want to see a blow off top. I want to see July, like the next, couple of days close because we're going to close a candle on Friday. So I would like to see us up more up here, closing July's candle, ideally. And then for August, when we get into August next week, dive into here. Okay. So maybe for July we come up into here even like 66 253, 66 275, at least, taking out this little liquidity pool to the upside, and then we move down for the beginning of August. Because then if we move down here for the beginning of August, it would tell me that we're making our wick or our low for the month, and August is going to be bullish. Okay, just like July. So ideally, I want to see us take this the last remaining days of July. Okay. Now, this obviously could be a head and shoulders that will maybe eventually play out for August, but for right now, like I said, I do want to see us, remain somewhat bullish for July and start pricing into here, ideally. Again, not that it's going to happen, but that's kind of my ideal situation if we're going to be bullish for August. Taking a look at the 1 hour time frame here for our liquidity, you can see that we have a nice bridge to the upside. So yes, for right now, we got rejected off of this top of this green area. I know it's kind of hard to see here, but there is some green that we took and then, dumped from there. But, again, I mean, I love the fact that we have bridges up to the upside. And this is even telling us, guys, that we could get, at least to 66,000, if not start going up into here to 67,000, testing the bottom of that order block. So this could be a very bullish end of the week. I'm just going to say that. It's really going to depend on how price reacts down here and when it comes down here. Obviously, we're starting to get the move down, so not the best sign because it's prior or pre-FOMC. But I would like to see it stop around 63.3. Again, key number. Like that's something that we've talked about. It's that 4 hour 200 MA, 6 hour 200 MA. I want to see price. If it's going to get down this low, I want to see it stop there. I do not want to see it continue and continue on going down because then FOMC is just going to give it fuel and we're just going to see it just tank right down to 60,000 potentially, or even 62,404, whatever it is. So ideally, I want to see us, just take this out, and there's a good chance of it because I mean, yes, if you want to start taking the 50x out, like you do have a bridge further down, but for 100x, it stops right here. So this is going to be extremely important. Like we can draw a line even right here. I want to see whether or not like this gets hit, but like I just want to see this get hit and then make a beautiful cup and handle and then just launch right for the remainder of the week. I do not want to see this low taken out at 62,744. So today's going to be a big deciding factor. If we can stay above this, not take out this low, bounce off the 4 hour 200 MA / 6 hour 200 MA, bullish for the rest of the week. If we cannot do that, we close the daily candle below this line right here, we're going to basically probably fall through. So today is a huge deciding factor for how the remainder of the week is going to go. Let's take a look at the 15. So your 15, you have green right there. Your 50x, you have this pool basically ending right there. Yes, these pools are very close together, but I'm just hoping that, it stops right there. But that's kind of my bias for right now. So, just know, guys, that if we start pricing below this, we don't wick back up right away. I'm going to have a more of a bearish bias, right? If we start closing candles below here, starting to get towards this bottom, not getting that bounce, that's going to give me a bearish bias. For a bullish bias, we keep this, right? We could come all the way down here, keep this, and just, completely reverse in the opposite direction, starting to take this out up here. All right, so that's what I'm kind of seeing for today. For your order book through open market, it's weird. It was just the other day Kiyotaka, so I don't know if they're just changing the naming every once in a while, but let's see. You have more orders to the upside You have this huge, bigger order, not a huge order, but you have a bigger order to the downside around 62.6. Nothing to really worry about for right now. This is alluding to the fact if this stays more like this, it is alluding that, we are going to continue our move up, right? I mean, look at all these orders building above us. So I am expecting, at least for right now, based off of open market, based off of liquidity, that we may get a pullback, but we're going to come up and start, destroying the shorts up here into the 66.5 territory. Okay. That's what I'm seeing at least for right now. Whether or not that's going to happen, is a whole different story. But this is what the information is telling me. This is what the chart is telling me that it wants to do for the day. Let's take a look at the simple map and see if there's anything different that we see going on here. Usually I can get some sort of directional sense adding that in as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, to the upside, you don't have that many shorts built up just yet. Not a lot of people shorting right now. That could easily change though. Like we always say, like with some of these bars right here, when you get to these bars that are higher than the other bars below it, it acts like the VRVP. So if you get past this price level at 63,960, you can just fall through, right? And you could basically fall through, probably about 63,720. You get past there, you're going to be a somewhat of a climb up, but it does say that you're going to have some issues, getting through 63,450 to the downside. So, this would be a good level potentially to get a bounce off of. It is front running, and Bitcoin has lately been front running our levels, but this is front running that 63.3 level. So this could be a possible entry for a long. Again, not financial advice ever, but do what you want with that information. As far as to the upside, you'd kind of have to get through the 64,700 range, 64,710, 740. You could then fall through, start getting into the 65s, and then potentially once you get past 64,920, you kind of keep falling through all the way up to about 65,340, and then you wouldn't have really a strong resistance point to about 65,730. So you do have some, pretty key points to the upside that you'll have to get through. Might not be major though, especially because we have a news driver. So just keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the swing time frame here. So taking a look at the swing time frames, usually aligns pretty well with, what we're seeing on the smaller time frames lately. You got 63,450, that you got to get past. And then, this tells us you basically, if you get past 63,450, it's going to be kind of some danger here until you get to about 62,940. So not the best sign on the bigger time frames. There's not as much, I guess, basically the resistance with these bars here. Like I said, you basically have to front run that 63.3 level. It could come all the way down here, wick back, but 63,450 is going to be pretty important, it says, for today if we get down that low. To the upside, you're again getting above that 64,740, 64,770 hump, then getting above 65K, getting that follow through about to 65,340, and then obviously up to about 65,730. So that still aligns with our smaller time frames. But to the downside, it does look like you're going to have to keep that 63,450-ish level to remain bullish for today. That being said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful and safe trading day. Again, be extremely careful and cautious during FOMC. There's a lot of things that can happen. We've seen it before, even like when Trump speaks, there's a really big possibility that it will wick in one direction and then reverse in the other. So be very cautious with how you trade today. But I will stress, I can't stress enough how important today is going to be for the rest of the month, even, and for the rest of the week. So that being said, guys, that is all I have for you right now. As usual, if you guys want to trade using Trading Different, being able to see liquidity, being able to identify bias, amazing tool suite that they have going on over there. Use my code Sean to get 10% off of your order. tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean to get 10% off. All right, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful and safe trading day, and I will talk to you all later on this evening. Take care.